Hi everybody, it's Gail, Shabby Cottage Studio. I wanted to do this little video to share with you some tags and journal cards I made this past weekend, mostly from my latest 3 collections that I recently put into the store. And before I show you the cards and the tags, I just wanted to show you the collections and what I created with them. So what I did was, this is the, it's called the Masterboard Collage Tags. And it's basically what it says. I created some original masterboards, scanned them, cut them apart into tag shapes, and then scanned the tags, and then created the collection around that. There are 6 sheets in this little collection. And when I made my tags and my journal cards, I printed these out and then glued the sheets onto some aged cardstock and then cut them out. And I used these tags and journal cards in this collection as my base. Then I dug through my multiple scrap bins that I know we all have and pulled out just scraps that I thought I might want to create on top of these tags. And I used, I have another collection called Shabby Ephemeral Labels. I just recently did a video on that, and I'll go through these real quick just for those of you who haven't seen them. And I used the labels. And then the most recent collection that I just released is called Vintage Beauties. And for the most part, I use those as the focal point on the tags and the journal cards. Some of them, not all of them, have the Vintage Beauties on them, but I think most of them do. So let me go through the collections real quick. This is the, like I said, the Masterboard Collage Tags. So these are the sheets that are in that collection. And I hope let me get us a little bit better in frame. My setup here is just not quite where I want it, but you know, you keep working on these things. So those are the tags. And then those tags, they're 2.5 by 4.5. The journal cards are 4 by 4. Now, I had some room left at the bottom of the journal tags where I couldn't fit in more journal tags, so I'm sorry, journal cards. So I just took some of the tags and reduced them and used those to fill in and made some cute little tiny tags. Same here. I had some extra room, so what I did was I made some 1-inch diameter circles and filled in the space with those. And then the last sheet in the collection is, these are 2-inch diameter circles that I added. Okay, so that's the Masterboard Collage Tags collection. The video that I did the other day on the labels, there's the video before this one. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. So the labels are in 3 sizes. There's large, medium, and small. For those who might struggle with resizing, I tried to make this a little easier for everybody. So real quick, these labels were made from more masterboards that I created and scanned, and then made the labels from those masterboards. So there is 7 sheets of labels. And then I took, I made copies of the masterboards and included those. So you can use them as backgrounds, use them as journal pages, cut them apart for collage fodder. You can do whatever you want with them. You can back other things. You know, you could back your tags with these. So lots of fun there. So these are the 3 copies of the masterboards. And then, like I said, the last collection that I just released is called Vintage Beauties. And this is what, this is, there's 5 sheets to this collection. I did most of them in this size. These sizes are all just a little slightly different, just to make them fit on the page. I would say the average size is, let's see, that's about almost 2 3/4 by just a little over 4. The horizontal ones, that's 4 inches by 2.5. This one's a little smaller. It's just over 2 and by 3.5. So they all slightly vary, just slightly. We've got these. And these beautiful ladies, I think they're all gorgeous. Just gorgeous. This one, just back up a second. This one here, this is the original image in a sepia or black and white. And then what I did was I reproduced it and I colorized it in Photoshop. So I like to do that. So I thought that was fun. And back to these beauties. And then I took all of those and reduced them and put them all on one sheet. Again, like the labels, like the tags, I wanted to offer up a couple of different sizes for those who might need it. And again, these size-wise, let's just grab one here. This is about 1.5 by 2. So I would say most of them are about that size. The ones that are horizontal, that's 2 inches. Can't pick it up. By 1.5. So they're all basically the same size. Let me move these out of the way and I'll quickly show you the tags. So I didn't do all of the tags in the collection just because I ran out of time, but these are the ones that I did do. See if I can get you a little closer. And like I said, I used the tags as the base. They're on stained cardstock, and I've used scraps and pieces that I have in my scrap bins, and little pieces of ribbon and lace that are in my scrap bin. Used the vintage beauties. I fussy cut them to use those for focal point. I added labels. This one's got 2 labels. Got a label down here. And then I attached one of the little tiny labels up here on the tab to the tag. So same here, just scraps. And what I like about these tags is the base is already made for you. So you can make these as simple or as complicated as you might like. For example, there's, okay, this one. And then this next one, all I did here was I didn't even add any scraps into the back. That's strictly the tag as it comes from the collection. And then I cut out one of the vintage beauties, added a label, added a little fabric tab up here, and boom, called her done. And then this one was basically the same, but I added a little piece of scrap paper behind the label. This one I got a little bit fancier. I added some ribbon binding on the side and collaged some paper, stamped it. This was one of the labels that was kind of, it has text on it, but it was not in your face, so I could stamp on top of that. So the airmail is not on the label. It's what I added after I printed the label with some stamps that I have. Again, one of the vintage beauties. I fussy cut all of them, I believe, and added her to the tag. Now this one, this is a piece of scrap paper I had left over, and it is from Chapter 1, is the digital shop that I purchased those from. I did let's get that focused. I did a little sewing, just a little bit right there, and a little bit of washi tape, and then a label and some chiffon ribbon, and one of the fussy cut vintage beauties. So like I said, you can get as simple or as complicated with these. I could have gotten very complicated with these tags, but I was limited by time this weekend, so this is what I came up with. Again, same thing. This one I added some dotted fabric. It's a sheer fabric that I had in the background. I wanted to tone down the color a little bit. And again, a couple labels and a vintage beauty. Added same dotted fabric as a tab up here. Did some sewing and called it done. This one, I used some canvas fabric I had for the background. Did some sari silk, gathered it, sewed it onto the card. Actually sewed around the card. Added a label, added the focal point. I had this kind of netting with dots on them, and some rickrack, made a little bow, and that one was done. Now these two, I did not use the vintage beauties for my focal point. This one, I loved this little girl and boy. Whoops. Let's get in frame here. And that is from Ruby and Pearl on Etsy, and it's her vintage romance collection. So I just did a little bit of collaging, added some labels and tape at the bottom, and a little bit of seam binding ribbon at the top, stapled that on, and that one was done. And then this one is, the focal is from Sam Poole Designs, her shabby photographs. And again, just did a little collaging, used some scraps of fabric and some netting and some lace for the tab, and called it done. The journal cards, I like this one. It's simple, but I like this one a lot. Again, chapter 1 papers, and I used those chapter 1 papers in a journal, so I had some scraps left over, and I thought they just filled this in beautifully. Added a little bit of my canvas material and a vintage stamp and another label. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a vellum, a little doily. I die cut from vellum underneath. And then this journal card, I added a little bit of trim that I had in my stash, and another vintage beauty, one of the large labels, and a little piece of scrap paper I had, and did that as a tab. Called it done. More vintage beauties. This whole background is the journal card. I added nothing. All I did was I took the vintage beauties, I backed them with a piece of decorative paper, added a label here, and up here I took 2 labels and glued them back to back. So there's the back of that tab and the front of that tab, and called it done. This one, I took one of the tiny tags and added a label and a little scrap of fabric to it. A little, there's a little eyelet in there. And then tied that onto the journal card with some sari silk. Added a little piece of velvet, another label. One of the focal point is from the Vintage Beauties. Again, I fussy cut them all, and except this one. I did not fussy cut this one. I just cut around the edges a little bit, cut some of it off to have it fit better. But otherwise, I fussy cut them all. And then this one, that is another image from, I'm pretty sure it's Ruby and Pearl, her Vintage Romance. There's a little bit of fabric behind. It's a net with some embroidery, I guess that's on there. And then 2 labels and another scrap of fabric. I love the colors in this one. And called it done. So I just wanted to show you that you could take, that's a nice thing about a digital tags, is a lot of the work's already done for you, which is great for people who might be a little nervous about trying to collage. I know a lot of people think they can't collage, but really it's not as difficult as we sometimes want to make it out to be. But having that done for you on the tags or on a journal card or as a background is really helpful. And then it makes your job just that much easier because you get to go right to the decorating. And that's what I did this weekend. I had a lot of fun making these. I hope you enjoyed seeing them. And thanks for visiting. I appreciate each and every one of you. I thank all my new subscribers from the absolute bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. I just can't believe that all of y'all have subscribed to my little channel. And I will try to bring you more videos. And I hope you have a great day wherever you are, whatever day it is. And I'll see you soon. Bye.